the event information, and then I'm going to turn it over to Fred Potter. Fred will be person who's going to talk about what they're doing and specifically their data challenge. My piece should be maybe 10 to 15 minutes long tops, and then I'll turn it over to Fred. And then once Fred finishes up, if they're supposed to have questions, then we could get in on question and answers. So again, thank you very much for joining. My name is Cian Robinson. I'm the Associate Director of the Center for Business and Information Technologies here at UL Lafayette. We are the ones that sponsor and run CajunCodeFest. This is our third year in CajunCodeFest. And this year's event is all about aging in place in the Internet of Things. That's the theme. The prior 2 years were also thematic. The first year was about childhood obesity, and the second year last year was Own Your Own Health, and specifically the release of large data sets. What we're going to go over is very quickly the event information, and you can follow along with us online if you have it on the website. And then I will turn it over to Fred for the data release. So very quickly, again, aging in place, Internet of Things. We do not have any specific challenge other than that. We leave it up to you all to be creative and come up with the ideas. People have been calling in and talking about specific ideas that have to do with sensor arrays and the way that could be displayed within a house or installed within a house. People have been calling about how to manage data that's Medicare-based. All those are great ideas, and we encourage. So I'll go over really quickly the agenda here. So you know, Wednesday, April 23rd, so next Wednesday, we're less than just a little under a week away. You know, the Picard Center, and so there's 2 locations, and there should be a PDF file soon up on the website that shows you the map of the area. Coding occurs over at the Picard Center, and all presentations, events, and final judging will occur over the Light Center, and you'll see 2 different agendas there. And so on Wednesday from 2 to 5, you can go into the Picard Center and begin to set up your workspace or your team's workspace. Don't worry if you don't have a team, because from 5 to 6 p.m. over at Picard there will be a team building session. So if you are a software developer that's looking to join a team at that point in time, we will help you find a team. You could always be a team of 1 if that's what you so choose. And in the past, the team building session was nicely. At the Light Center, from 6 to 7 p.m. is the opening reception. And then from 7 to 8:30 p.m. we have opening ceremonies, and that will specifically feature Dr. Mark Blatt, who's the worldwide medical director of Intel. It's quite a coup to have Mark coming to and for those of you who are perhaps on a mobile or another phone, if you could please mute yourself so we do not have to hear the background noise, we greatly appreciate it. And so that's Wednesday. Wednesday is really about getting set up and opening ceremonies. And on Thursday morning at the Picard Center, there will be a breakfast. I will then kick off coding with the presentation of the challenges and rules for those people who aren't on this call today. And then you code. And you code all the way through until roughly 12 noon on Friday when coding wraps up and you begin to turn in your software and your presentations. In addition to the coding that's going on, we have some wonderful plenary sessions. Brian Seebeck, who's the Chief Technology Officer of the U.S. Department of Health and Hospitals, is flying in to join us to give a speech. Louisiana Secretary of the Department of Health and Hospitals, Kathy Claver, along with Angel Balthazar, excuse me, from Esri, will be presenting. Jeff McCalca, who is the Senior Strategic Advisor of Thought Leadership for AARP, will be here. Cindy Munn, Chief Executive Officer of Louisiana Healthcare Quality Forum. Kenny Cole, who's the Associate Chief Medical Officer and VP of Care Delivery Blue Cross Blue Shield. All wonderful, top-notch, senior-level speakers will be with us. And then we wrap it up 30 to 7 with the crawfish boil. And that is at Abdullah Hall. So if you all are familiar with the area, Picard and Light are on one side of Duval Court, and Abdullah Hall is on the other. And then Friday, breakfast, we wrap up coding, we hand in, we have first round of judging at the Picard Center, and then we announce the finalists, and we move everything over to Light. And at Light, we will have final round of judging and then the awards ceremony. In addition, we also have 2 additional plenary sessions. Lihen Singh from the Department of Global Health Systems and Development at Tulane will be giving a presentation on some of his work. And then also Fred Trotter, who's with us today, will be talking about DocGraph Journal and the things that they're working on. For both days, instead of having catered lunch in, we've decided to have 4 different food trucks. So we're having a little mini food truck rally at CajunCodeFest for you to all enjoy. So that is the event information that we have going on. And then what we'll do here really quickly is go over competition rules. And then I'll turn it over to Fred. So competition rules. Whatever you choose to use, there is no one platform. Whatever you choose to use is up to you. Okay, so you can use any platform or framework to present your solution. Our expectation is that it has taken 27 hours to code. In the past, we have seen some folks who have gone a little bit beyond that or have come with a little pre-work. We tend to not encourage that. We would that you've done it within the 27 hours. As we said, the Card Center is open 24 hours straight through the coding competition. Then what happens is when you wrap up your coding, you will have a presentation to give. 5 minutes, 2 to 3 for Q&A, 2 to 3 for transition time, totaling 10 to 11 minutes. In the past, those teams that have been successful were an amalgamation, a confluence of different people with different skill sets. So not only were there great software developers, not only were there great data folk, but you also have folk who knew how to present, who had marketing capabilities, who were subject matter experts. So as you put your teams together, I would very much encourage you to consider, if you don't already have those skill sets, to add those skill sets in. And then in terms of competition rules and in terms of the rubric that we're going to use, you can see the rubric on the screen right now if you're able to. If not, potential to improve individual health is 20% of the rubric, technical merit is 40%, design merit 15%, market potential 15%, and originality 10%. So you can see that we've somewhat weighted it towards the technical design merit as well as the healthcare piece. So that's it about the event, about the layout of the event, about the topic of the event, about the competition rules. And with that, I'll turn it over to Fred and have Fred talk to you about DocGraph Journal, the data release, and what they're working on. Fred?
Can everyone hear me now? I just unmuted my phone. I'm learning how to do this as we go. Could you share my screen, or is that something that you can easily do?
Yes, I absolutely can. Hold on a second, Fred.
All right. So let's see. Also up here. You guys see this? DocGraph Journal is what you should see on the screen.
What?
Sure. Yep, sure can, Fred.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody over at CajunCodeFest for having the DocGraph Journal at CajunCodeFest. I really appreciate the opportunity. You know, DocGraph Journal is intended to create and extend and leverage open healthcare data to do interesting things. And we've gotten kind of two contests that we're doing along with CajunCodeFest. One is a virtual contest that you can work on in advance, and if you're interested in participating in that, let's see here. I think we got my slides out of order there at the last moment. So here's my second slide. What is the contest? If you would like to participate in the virtual contest going up to CajunCodeFest, you need to go to this URL and register, and we'll get you a copy of the virtual data that you can use. And obviously what we'll be doing is providing teams with the same open data sets that have been released, but we're going to go ahead and do the work to make them limited to Louisiana. Someone's typing rather loudly. If we can mute that, that would be wonderful. Anyway, so the So if you want to participate in the virtual hackathon, go register. I think it costs a little bit of money to cover our cost and just shipping the data around. We're going to limit the data sets to Louisiana and Louisiana providers so that you have kind of a nice thing to work with. We will have that data set available the day of too. And so if you want to just tack on the data at that time, you can, the top team at the actual CajunCodeFest that uses our data in an interesting way, we'll have a separate prize for that, which is really fun and pretty exciting. It's also pretty exciting to just look at what data is out there right now. And again, I apologize for not having my slides in the right order. The first thing that we have is the open procedure data. You kind of have to be living under a rock lately to not hear about the amazing data release for open data. We have a browser available that we've launched recently at omni.docgraph.org. If you want to go see how that works, that's our tool to look at the procedure data. And the other two data sets, and what we've already kind of merged into Omni, which is just a place where you can kind of view and browse open doctor data, is the referral and team data. That was actually the FOIA request and the data set that I opened up. And then ProPublica opened up a prescription data set that they allow free downloads for if you go to their data store. So these are the three major data sets. 2 years ago, we were basically blind to what healthcare looked like in the United States. And now the largest single payer, Medicare, has opened up and given us a very, very accurate picture of what healthcare looks like. And it's because of these three data sets. And so, these data, we'll just be zipping up stuff. And, in general, the easiest way to move them around is CSV files. So that's what you'll be actually getting. Now, what you can do with this, I'm going to show you a little bit about what we've done with Omni to just kind of give you some ideas. So we've got a little search tool here. You can just search, find people limited by doctor, and then once you open a physician over here, we just have all of the data, browsable. This is kind of the first blush thing that you want to do is just to look at, when doctors share data on this page. Here is information about procedures. And then here's prescription data, and then and of course with prescription data we have some really interesting kind of sidelines to these data. Like for instance, one of the things that we can see in the ProPublica data set is they actually have data about the percentage of the prescriptions that were using compounding pharmacies and dispensed as written. So it's really esoteric data points that they got with their data set. And then here is a view on our teaming and referral data set, which of course we can filter this and look at how this is my doctor, by the way, so I always use him as an example. He's a great doctor, and I recommend, if you need a physician in Houston, I absolutely recommend him. But we can quickly look at who he works with, right? So these data sets that we are putting out there would allow you to build something like what we have here. But this is really kind of the least interesting view from the perspective of consumer. This is merely a browser. It's just kind of showing you what the data is there. Now, there's going to be a page on our website, going back to the slideshow. Actually, I'll just keep talking. So without actually switching back to the presentation, unless anybody has a problem with that, that sounds fine. So, this data, when you put it all together, gives you a really accurate picture, but just showing the data is kind of the least interesting thing you can do with it. We really need to find ways to leverage this to make it so that something can be done. Of course, this amazing rubric that CajunCodeFest has of aging in place, it's kind of ideal. People who are aging in place, people who are homebound, people, they receive procedures, they receive these outpatient care that all these data sets is focused on. It's really perfect for doing something that matters to this population. So what exactly? I mean, obviously, I leave that up to the kind of the individual hackers. The other thing is we'd like to announce kind of Team DocGraph, and the reason we're talking about Team DocGraph is, and of course, Datapalooza and CajunCodeFest have had an alliance for a long time, and I think there's, I guess we could talk a little bit more about that if someone from the CodeFest side could talk more about that, or the CajunCodeFest side could mention what the relationship is today. But obviously, there is a contest that you can apply for, and I think you need to apply for it soonishly. So, and I hope that's not, is that today? Does this end today? Oh no, there's a webinar today. Okay, good. So there's a contest to exercise this data, and we are going to be coding on our entry. Omni obviously going to be our entry into this. We're going to be coding on this. And if you would like to use our data set for an entry of your own, we will absolutely support you in that. And so if you decide to do that and we beat you with our admission, we're going to try to find some way of like kind of sharing the love with people who are working with us on other ONC contest submissions, to be fair. And obviously this is a great way if you want to double up. So I mean, I've done a lot of hackathons, and what I always try to do is I want to find as many ways to win as I humanly can. And so participating in a hackathon event where you go into CajunCodeFest and you make your entry for another contest, that's just genius, and everybody should do that.
Right. See, and I'll jump in. We've had an excellent relationship with Health Data Palooza, and in fact, the winners of both of our last two CajunCodeFests were automatically entered into Health Data Palooza and got to present their solutions. We'll find out when Brian gets here if that's going to be the case again for this year. But I would agree with you, Fred, that this is an excellent opportunity to practice prior to getting to Health Data Palooza. And yes, you're going to be up against some pretty stiff competition, such as Fred and other teams from around the country. It truly is I don't know if you call it the World Series or the Super Bowl or whatever sports analogy, perhaps the World Cup, since that's coming up most recently. But it is a great opportunity to come here to CodeFest, practice, and then to use the data sets that Fred's going to put out there, then go to Health Data Palooza if you can.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the wonderful thing. I mean, we have, our data sets that we are emphasizing is we're trying to emphasize the data sets that are not the data sets that ONC is emphasizing. So we're putting out relatively tiny prizes compared to what ONC. ONC's got $35,000 in prizes for analyzing their procedure data sets, but really it's by leveraging all three that you're going to be able to create something that's really cool. So we're encouraging people to do that. We'd love to help. We will be helping on the DocGraph Journal Google group for people who want to work on this before the contest. And then obviously we're coming to CajunCodeFest precisely to help people leverage this data. So we are really excited about this, and we're really looking forward to going to Louisiana. We like the food, so it's going to be amazing.
All right, thank you so very much, Fred. So the data sets, as Fred has described, has been released. It's up on DocGraph Journal. You'll be able to work with this data, and specifically focused on Louisiana and focused on aging in place and Medicare. At this point in time, I'd like to open it up to other folks that are online and ask any questions that you may have at this point in time.
Okay, well, I guess I'll go ahead and ask. This is Blake Lemoyne. Question for Fred. So are we going to have some kind of programmatic API access to DocGraph, or will it just be flat files, or will it simply be the access through the browser that they have on the link to on the site?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes, but we're not sure exactly what that's going to look like. So we are planning on releasing an API sometime soon, and what we will probably do is I'm not, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure I'm going to have an API ready before CajunCodeFest. And if we do, we may end up launching it after CajunCodeFest, before Data Palooza. If that happens at CajunCodeFest, we will have the beta version of our API available as a tool to you. So we will be making that available. That's particularly helpful because this data set probably does not need to be described as a big data data set, any one of these. But if you put them all together, you do probably need to have something close to a supercomputer or a Hadoop cluster or something to work with them. And we've done a lot of that. We've pre-processed a lot of that, and we do have an API that we're kind of designing and releasing. So we should be able to help. I just can't make specific promises about how that's going to look.
Blake, does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, it did.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from folks online? Well, if not, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Fred, thanks for taking time out of your very busy schedule. And we're very excited that we're a week away, and we look forward to seeing you at CajunCodeFest. Take care, everybody.
Again, those food trucks are sounding pretty good right now. So I'm pretty excited to go down there. It's going to be a lot of fun.